Because I believe we are in a bear market and we have these rallies every now and then, that this was not the bottom yet. What comes down obviously will come up again. I'm in the camp that we will see lower lows on space, hopefully at 6, and then we obviously will see a bounce back. Before we diving into the content, let's talk about the huge vision of GSX. As you know, gold assets are being added to the asset pool every now and then, and currently the price is 0.05 to about 0.1 dollar cents, and actually their big vision is to add assets, so 1 GSX will equal to $1, so you can be early on GSX. Check out BitSmart or get to the link into the description to get your hands on GSX with your credit card. What are you waiting for? Welcome to another space video. I know those space videos are getting a little bit rare because there's so much things on the market happening that I need to talk about the bear market, the rallies and sell-offs and everything. So excuse me, I'm still holding all my space shares. I'm increasing my space shares. Reducing my average, and I'm not shorting space or anything like that. Okay, so be sure that I'm still the biggest bull on Wall Street on space, guys.
But to make this video a little bit more space-like, let's put the colors more into space, like bluish and let's do bluish and purple. 1 second, this one need to be blue then. All right. Well, I don't know. What do you think? Let me just fix that real quick. Okay. As you see, it's yeah, it's much more easier.
There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Those are the Virgin Galactic colors. You have a little bit of a purple here and a little bit of a blue here. Okay, so anyway, so what a comeback, right? What a comeback. I mean, we have seen here space is absolutely from those lows bounced off like many other stocks as well, right? So from $7.66 to current levels of 25%, okay? We had, let me see, where's the 52-week low? So exactly, $7.58 was the 52-week low, and 52-week high wasn't 62.8, crazy. Anyway, so people are asking, okay, what's going on? Was this the bottom? And so on. And because I believe we are in a bear market and we have these rallies every now and then, that this was not the bottom yet. In addition to that, I think that we still will see a little bit of sell-off over the end of this week, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's see if this plays out. We are in a very good run actually right now. I found a small piece of content, and you will see 2 pieces of content in this video. One is about CNBC and someone from a professional fund talking a little bit about the current situation. And the second is Tom Nash, my YouTube colleague here, who had actually a good argument for stocks like space. Okay, so let's dive first into the clip of CNBC.
And Dan, I think you agree with what Jim just said, right? You were concerned about the potential for a sell-off of as much as 20% when things got down to about 12%, down 12%. You said that maybe that was time to jump back in, but now you're thinking that there could be some more rough patches to come. Is that sum things up correctly?
Absolutely, Becky. I mean, if you go back and you look at time, bear markets, which I define as periods where the market's down, let's say closer to 30%, and there's about 10 of those episodes since 1920. If you go back and you look at those periods, you end up with these big bear market rallies in between. So the most comparable period, I think, is when Paul Volcker took over, 1980. You had a sell-off that started as he started to battle inflation, and the market went down 27% over a period of 21 months. But you had 6 rallies in the S&P of 8% on average, while you lost 27% of your money. And if you look at the 3 pretty high inflationary episodes, that's kind of what happened each time. You have these big rallies in between these drawdowns. And at the end of the day, inflation remains high. The Fed hasn't even started hiking yet or cutting their balance sheet and letting it run off. And that's still in front of us. And valuations are still near record levels. And so you combine all of that and slowing growth because of high energy prices, high wages, high rents. And I think it's way too early to say that this is the bottom, though obviously I thought it was a short-term bottom just given the oversold conditions.
So as you can see, he went, and this is what I like, he went into the statistic and looked on the inflation high periods of time and how those bear market reacted. And you can see that we have this kind of improvements, right? Over the period of a bear market, we have those 8%, 10% rallies, and then we sell off again. You know, we don't have only this market uncertainty with the Fed, because we still don't know what the Fed is going to do. Likely raise rates in March. How much, we don't know. QT, we don't know when, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of question marks, and the Fed is just staying very cool and says, you know, okay, we are staying here very, very much, you know, and looking into the data. The issue with this, the data is always looking back into the past. So you're reacting instead of pre-acting, so to say, right? So that's the issue of the Fed right now, or the dilemma of the Fed right now, okay? However, there is the other part of the equation. What comes down obviously will come up again, okay? So I'm in the camp that we will see lower lows, okay, on space, hopefully at 6. Even though I'm not shorting, I hope we go to 6. And then we obviously will see a bounce back, and see how beautiful of just a couple of days of a bounce back we got, 25%. Now imagine you can bring your cost averaging down to a single digit and then get 25%, 30%, 50%. Multiple 100% because we get the huge recovery. And this is what Tom Nash actually is talking about. Have a look, because he is talking about the recovery as well as the growth stocks being the one that recovered the best.
We're still going to have the same problems. We're still going to have a high inflation, probably by that point 8.5, maybe 9% inflation in 6 months with the pace it is going right now. We're still going to have the same supply chain shortages, the same problems, and the Fed will still have to come out and raise interest rates. They can't run from it forever. Eventually, this is about to catch up. And once it catches up with them in 6 months, it's going to be much worse than doing it today. It's like going to the dentist. If you postpone it, it's going to get worse. This is exactly what's going to happen. So we're going to have an easy 6 months, crazy run, but then the Fed will basically have to say, well, we're looking at 9% inflation, we have to raise interest rates, and at that point, the euphoria combustion is going to be insane. You remember when you were a kid and your parents would go out of town and you'd throw this crazy party, invite everybody, go ballistic, but then the parents come back early and they walk in, and then the speed at which everybody flees the house and you're there all alone in front of your parents, it's probably 30 seconds. I mean, that is the speed at which the stock market is going to combust. This euphoria is going to pop like a crazy bubble. And unfortunately, that's going to result in a massive pullback in the S&P 500, probably 20 to 30, maybe even more percentage point. It's going to be pretty painful. Now, it's not all bad news, because if we know this, we can actually play it to our advantage. So this is exactly how I'm going to play this. And again, this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing with you my opinion and my strategy. You got to do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. Decide for yourself. This might be wrong. This might be ramblings of a madman. Who knows? This might be a bunch of googly-goo nonsense. So check for yourself, research for yourself. But this is how I'm going to play the next 6 months. I know there's certain things that are absolute truths. So growth stocks, especially the Cathie Wood archetype of stocks, are insanely battered. The most despicable corner in the stock market right now. And obviously if that's the case, those kind of stocks are going to pull up way faster than value stocks.
So as you can see here what he said, and what is important also, guys, there is the supply chain issues that, you know, due to the pandemic created all of these problems. And then you had this issue with the Fed printing too much money and creating all of this demand. So big demand meeting much smaller supply chain is creating a lot of volatility, because prices are rising, there's a lot of demand, and the power of pricing is more at the sellers than at the other people. The energy prices are going up, rents are going up. So now they are trying to reduce the money influx, so the demand will be lower. Not only because of that, but think about what happened to asset prices. And that's why I still believe the Fed at some point don't care about the assets. They know the assets and equities will fall. This is obvious, okay? This makes also demand slower. But if you do demand slower and the supply chains relax a little bit, because companies trying to get more supply, because they also sometimes don't think the situation through, and the Fed is a little bit slow and so on. So they decreased the demand, they increased the supply chain, and then we're going to a slow period because the cost for increasing the supply chains and the offer and the demand is shrinking because the asset prices are going down. People will feel more poor because their wealth goes down, and the overall demand will go a little bit back, and then you will have this not so great crisis. And this is the big, let's say, question mark and fear about the market, that we might move into a recession, which is basically 2 quarters in a row of negative GDP. So there's a lot of question marks, not many answers, but I still think that the stock of space, now specific to space, will further go down with the overall bear market, which can take a couple of months, and then we'll have a huge bounce back, hopefully at the same time where the company news will come out about the operation are starting. So it will be the perfect storm towards the end of the year. I cannot wait. I hope you too. So let me know in the comments what you think, and share this video with all your space astronauts friends out there. This would be highly appreciated. And don't smash and don't subscribe at all, please. Thank you very much for watching, and see you tomorrow.